it's undoubtedly going to be a make or break year for management. You'd want them to operate without handcuffs, but I'm not feeling that. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. The Pirates, of course, have still not signed any free agents. They haven't addressed the glaring shortcomings that they have in everyday positions in right field, first base, arguably shortstop. And of course, the more that time passes, the more the free agency market's going to shake itself out as being the same stuff that they usually get, which is picking off the scrap heap. And then from there, undoubtedly, discussions, meaning external discussions, will arise, and some have already, that the most likely and smartest path for the Pirates to take would be to make trades to address these positions. Why? Well, they have the most valuable commodity that there is in the sport, and that is young starting pitching. And when you see not just Blake Snell, but a lot of these contract figures of late, you see that having really high-end starting pitching, regardless of age, is very, very expensive even for the wealthier franchises. So, in theory, if you had a general manager capable of making these types of trades and recognizing hitting, you'd say, all right, well, that's definitely the way to go. Meaning, yeah, sure, trade Bubba Chandler, even trade Jared Jones. I'd gotten wind, this was last summer, and I reported it at the time, that the Pirates and the Orioles had at least had a discussion, I don't know how far it went, about a trade that had sent Jones to Baltimore and Jackson Holliday to Pittsburgh. And I wasn't guessing at this, and I'm not exactly the type to make stuff up. But it'd be something that's in that spirit that would work because, well, you're sending out a player who's not making any money. You're getting a player back who isn't going to make any money for a while, so it works from a payroll standpoint and it works from a needs standpoint. And those are going to be out there to be had. And they fit within the whole Bob Nutting is risk-averse / cheap / whatever it is that you'd want to call it in managing the payroll. But I don't want to see it. And here's where the handcuffs come in. If I'm Nutting, if I'm Travis Williams, the two people who are over Cherington's head, I don't want Cherington being the one to bring in hitters, especially when you're sending out your most valuable potential assets. Why? Because as one scout recently put it, he wouldn't be able to tell Mickey Mantle from Mickey Mouse. I don't want the general manager who thought Brian Dela Cruz was the answer or even a significant part of the answer making this call. I want the next general manager to do that. Now, is that fair? I mean, no. Is life fair? No. Did he have 5 years to do this sort of thing unencumbered? Yes. But now it's the 6th year, and you've got half a decade of transactions to illustrate that you can't, in fact, recognize hitting, you can't, in fact, recognize hitting instruction, and you can't, in turn, be allowed to move that prospect. This is a reasonable stance within all of the circumstances, I feel, for Nutting to take. One thing that you always have to be wary of, and this goes across the scope of sports, when you have either lame duck management or perceived lame duck management, and the moment that Cherington spoke about he and Derek Shelton being, quote, accountable together, end quote, that was the clearest possible message that could have been sent that they're both on the hook for the coming year. That's when the ground rules needed to be set. You can do this. You can run baseball operations on and off the field. What you can't do is trade our young pitching. You can't just leave it open-ended in that setting. Because otherwise, I mean, think about it. They could just trade all of the team's top prospects, hope and pray that they get something better than Dela Cruz in return, and then just see how it goes. But in the interim, leave the franchise in shambles. Leave the one thing that they've done fairly well in terms of building up young starting pitching and blow it to bits on the way out the door. No thanks. No thanks. When we come back, J1Q.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragececk.org. That's gunstoragececk.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Abandon ship, Bob. Sell the team. Are you a Pirates fan who is angry or apathetic about our perennial losing baseball team? Do you feel helpless because you don't know how to make a difference? Well, good news. We have something you can do about it. Join our Sell the Team movement. We're a group of passionate fans voicing our frustration and demanding change through billboard campaigns, press outreach, protests, and involvement at local city government meetings. Go to OurTeamNotHis.com to get involved.
Today's J1Q comes from Neil, who says, DK, given how the last 5 years have gone, plus Ben Cherington's record in Boston, I feel that you're right about his job status. If he were to be fired, who would you want as his replacement, if you know off the top of your head? I have names in mind, Neil, and I'm not going to give them to you, okay? Respectfully and gratefully, because you also wrote some kind words to go with this question, so I don't want to come across in any sort of negative way. I'm just not at liberty to give the names that I would give here, because in a lot of cases, these are people who, let's just say that they share stuff with me. They share observations with me. They share their own passions for the Pirates and what the Pirates could be with me. And if and when the day comes that there are vacancies, meaningful vacancies in Pittsburgh, you will hear those names. You will hear what it is that they could bring to Pittsburgh that hasn't been here for a long, long time. You will hear about their qualifications. You will hear about things that they've done in various places around Major League Baseball to build teams into contenders. But for right now, there's just not anything to gain from sharing those. One thing that you should never worry about, though, and I have a feeling this might be the motivation behind your question, is, well, if we lose this guy, what if the next individual is worse? That's not likely. Not to, really rub it in here and to keep bringing up Dela Cruz, but Dela Cruz is far from the only lousy trade that's happened. Dela Cruz is far from the only lousy thing that's happened within the system from either an acquisition or a development standpoint. There's a ton that's gone wrong. You're not going to get worse than this. And unless you really, really weigh the variable in that Bob Nutting's not good at hiring people, and that's true, and you assume that he'll never, ever be able to hire good people, which also might be true, at that point, you're probably just looking for another team to root for, I try to at least lay out what's a roadmap here toward this team becoming what it can and should become with a Paul Skeens in the house. That doesn't mean I believe those things will happen, but I believe it's worth laying them out so that you at least have something in front of you. Nutting did once hire Clint Hurdle. That was a heck of a hire. Needle in a haystack, but he got him, and it paid off. Clint did, from his specific standpoint, from his role as field manager, about as much as any human could conceivably do. In this scenario, in Pittsburgh, with this owner, Clint did all of that. That was a Nutting hire. So it can happen. And yes, there are, to try to answer your question as best as I can, there are people out there who are really good at this and who absolutely, unequivocally would seize upon the opportunity to do this. There are only 30 of these organizations on the planet. In any given winter, there are only 1 or 2 where vacancies come available. This notion that, who'd ever want to work in Pittsburgh or who'd ever want to work for this owner? The answer to that is everyone. Everyone. That's who. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. We're going to do another one of these tomorrow.